Good morning, children. Lesson number 10, Weather and Climate. So, children, we were studying about the factors influencing climate. So, first one we studied distance from the equator, that is the latitude. Now, second point, height above the sea level. Height above the sea level. What is altitude? What is altitude? Altitude is height of a place above the sea. Level is referred to as altitude. Altitude is height of a place above the sea. Level is referred to as altitude. So children, you can see in the pictures here. Here there is a elevation, height and the altitude. See, why do people visit hill stations in a summers? Why do people visit hill stations in a summers? We know that hill stations are cooler than the plains. Hill stations are cooler than the plains, even though the two places are at an equal distance from the equator. Even though two places are at an equal distance from the equator, still people visit the hill stations during a hot season to settle there. Settle for a short period of time in the hill stations, because the temperature goes down by 1 degree Celsius at every 165 meters above sea level. The temperature goes down by 1 degree Celsius at every 165 meters above sea level. So, we know that hill stations are cooler than the plains. Even though the two places are at an equal distance from the equator, the air closer to the Earth's surface. The air closer to the Earth's surface is dense and absorbs more heat from the sun. See children, the air closer to the Earth's surface. The air is very closer to the Earth's surface and is dense, and it absorbs more heat from the sun. It absorbs more heat from the sun. So, as we go higher from the sea level, as we go higher from the sea level, the temperature decreases. The temperature decreases because the atmosphere is thinner. The atmosphere is thinner and it absorbs less heat. So even to give you the simple example, okay, you imagine that somewhere closer to us there is a fire. There is a fire. As close we are close to the fire, we feel the burning is more. We feel the burning sensation more, and we feel our body is getting heat and heat. But you try to move backward from the fire, then we experience the less heat. The heat is decreasing, so we are feeling we are away from the fire. So that is how it happens here, children. So as we move or as we go higher from the sea level, the temperature decreases. It becomes less because the atmosphere is thinner and it absorbs less heat, thus making the place cooler. This is why very high mountains are covered with snow throughout the year. So in summers people visit hill stations like Shimla, Manali, Ooty, etc. Why? Because of the heat of the sun. So people wants to move towards the hill station where the climate is very moderate and comfortable. So people move during this time of period. People move towards the hill stations. The air is closer to the earth's surface and it is dense and absorbs more heat from the sun. As we go higher from the sea level, the temperature decreases. It is because atmosphere is thinner and it absorbs less heat, thus making the people cooler. This is why very high mountains are covered with snow throughout the year. So in summers people visit hill stations like Shimla, Manali and Ooty, etc. See children, you see here mountain. In the picture you can see the mountain. So the peak of the mountain is 18.8 degree 8 degree, and here you can see 8 degree feet, and here 10,000 feet, and in middle of the mountain is 4,000 feet, and completely the base of the mountain is 1,000 feet, 60 degree feet, and this side you can see 73.8 degree feet. So this is the range of the mountain and the level of the mountain. So how we the people, those are closer by to the Himalayas and the mountains, so they experience this way of temperature. So the third factor is that distance from the sea. The climate of a place is also determined by the distance of the place from the sea. The third factor is that distance from the sea. The climate of a place is also determined by the distance of the place from the sea. So children, even the climate will affect even the distance from the sea. The places near the sea have a moderate climate. Summers and winters are neither too hot nor too cold. The places which are away from the sea have an extreme climate. Summers are too hot and winters are too cold. See children, don't get confused. You see their second point. Places near the sea have a moderate climate. Summers and winters in these both seasons neither too hot nor too cold. They are moderate, can be adjustable, and people can survive better. So the third point you can see, the places which are away from the sea. The places away from the sea have an extreme climate. Extreme means too much. So this both seasons, summer and winter, are too hot and too cold. The summer will be too hot and the winter will be too cold when the places are away from the sea. Away from the sea. So here there are pictures. You can see the pictures. The cooler air sinks. The cooler air sinks. The ocean is cooler compared to land. Cold source akka it sink. So here you can see the picture of the sun is here. The cloud is here. And these are the land or the mountains. So you can see the cooler air sinks. Sinking air spreads along surface. Rising air helps from clouds and warm air rises, and this is a sea breeze. This is a sea breeze. Rising air helps from clouds and the cooler air sinks and sinking air spreads along surface. So during the summer, when the warm air above the land rises and the cool breeze from the sea occupies the space, making the place near the sea cooler. During the summer, when the warm air above the land rises and the cool breeze from the sea occupies the space, making the place near the sea cooler. In winter, when the land becomes cooler, the warm air above the sea rises and moves towards the land, making the place warmer in winter. See children, here there are two pictures are given here. The first one, during the summer, when the warm air above the land rises means goes up, and the cool breeze from the sea. This is the cool breeze from the sea occupies the space. This occupies the space, making the place near the sea cooler. So the place which is closer to the sea, so it makes that place very cooler. And in second picture you can see, in a winter when the land becomes cooler, the warm air above the sea rises and moves towards land, making the place warmer in winter. So here you can see air on land gets heated and goes up. Warm air cools and comes down. This is a high pressure and this is a low pressure, and this is a sea breeze, and cooler sea breeze blows to the land. So it is very clear in the picture. So here you can see the warm air cools and comes down, and here warm air on the water goes up. So therefore it is a high pressure here, and it is here low pressure because it is going up. Here it is coming down.